Okay, video take 3. I keep stopping and starting this. My mindset is just not there. It's not there to make a video. And I'm sitting at the park. I'm feeling the fresh breeze. I'm watching the butterflies and the birds. And I don't want to do this. I don't see any dragonflies today. Those are the most distracting to me. When I was going for a walk the other late afternoon, I guess it was, a dragonfly kind of bumped into my head, or very nearly did. It came very close. I felt its touch. That happens in my book, Delivering Hope. In one of the scenes, a dragonfly bumps into the main character's head, and he takes it as a sign. I don't know if I take it as a sign or not, but I see dragonflies pretty much everywhere, except right now. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means exactly. I was going to get back on how it was going, trying to move my writing block to when I first get off of work instead of the last thing before I go to bed. And I have to say that it did not really happen for me. Okay, I stayed late at work one night last week just to help out with the religious education meeting, and because I wasn't in charge of the meeting, I was just taking registration forms and money and all that. During the actual meeting, I did some writing, and yeah, so I guess I got that one done early. But then when I got home, I was so tired when I was playing the accordion. I'm like, I can't play the accordion this late. It really didn't happen. It's still the last thing that I do, and in order to convince myself to do it, I'll just put the timer on. I'm not at the point in my plot where writing 1,000 words is very useful for me, because I have a lot of words that need to be more focused, they need to be edited, and really I have to move things around, I have to fill in plot holes, and it's just not doable any longer. It's so hard to focus, especially that late in the evening. It's hard to focus. In the writing world, they have what they call plotsters and pantsters, and I hate terms like that because they're just kind of stupid and cutesy almost, but I guess I would call myself a plotter initially, because I do write down the plot of, I'll start writing first just to get a feel of the flavor of the book, and then I'll sit down and I'll plot. So maybe I'll write a chapter or two just to get the feel for things, and then I'll write the plot, and I will do it by chapter, what needs to be brought out in each chapter. And then unfortunately, yeah, it is a guiding, it is a course guideline, but as in plotting my course, not a class type of course. Plotting my course forward in writing the book. It is a guideline, but I can't really stick to it because I get bored too easily. And if I get bored, I'm not going to write. I'm just not going to do it. If writing becomes a chore where I'm just trying to fill in the blanks in the outline, or pull up that chapter and fill in all the elements that are supposed to be there to make the book fit a general plot. No, boring. And books like that, you can tell when you read books that are that well plotted down to the detail, they're kind of boring to read too. I have a difficult time making it through books like that, and they just feel like paint by number or something. Yeah, I get that everybody, all authors put in their own elements, but they still feel like paint by number a little bit. I just get bored too easily. It's a personality weakness, I'm sure. That's why I try to do too many things, and if I'm not doing something, then what? Then I'm thinking, and thinking is boring. Anyway, all that to say, it's been really difficult not only to keep going every day with the writing, but also to focus, because when it's that late and I don't have very much time left before I have to make my lunch for the following day and get ready for bed and actually try to get some sleep, it's very difficult to focus and try to figure out where I am. And I've been panicking about that lately. I mean, I've kept going, I've kept writing, and so I think that that's good. At least I realized there was a spot in the plot where I had left it open and just never addressed it, and that was well, no, I'm not going to tell you the little plot I'm not going to tell you my plot, but there was a part that I'd left open and I hadn't written, so I went ahead and wrote those. It ended up being 3 chapters worth of parts that I had left out. So I worked on that, but then I was panicking because I didn't know where those were going to go, and I also didn't. I knew that wasn't it. Those weren't the only missing elements, but I just could not focus, and because of that problem, which would not have been solved by writing a little bit earlier, because I still don't have any more time. It's just trying to write when my brain is a little fresher. I still don't have more time, so that would not have worked. I started panicking. Last year, to finish out my book, I took a week off of work, and it was at the beginning of August, and that worked really well for me because it got me on track when I was maybe 75% of the way done with the book. It got me back on track to finish the book. I formatted it, I edited it, I filled in missing pieces and made notes of all the other missing pieces that I needed to add to the book in order to finish it out. And then I finished out my last chapters and I was done. And that full week that I took off, 40 hours of work more or less on my book that I put in that week really helped me to finish. And this year that week did not happen. And so I called up, well, actually, no, I didn't call her. She actually came into the office. I didn't have to. I was thinking about calling her. The lady who usually sits in the office for me. She came in the office and I asked her, well, if I were to take a week off in September, what week would work for you? And the week that would work for her was not till the end of September, which is when I should be sending it to the editor. Okay, it's okay. I will still take that week off and I will use that to do any finishing touches, any finishing edits that I want to do before I send it to the editor. That's what I'm going to use that week for. I will take the week off, but it's not going to be for a while, and it's going to be a little later than I thought. My goal is still to publish by the end of 2024, so if I stick with what I did last year, that will be December 20th. That's when I published this last year. And by the way, I did just see a dragonfly, so they are here and around, just not a whole bunch of them. Like there were so many dragonflies just swirling around and playing in this park. I don't know. I'm sure that's not what dragonflies actually do, but I'm going to call it that. They were playing in the park last Sunday when I was filming. But I did just see a dragonfly out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, hi, dragonfly friend. I have to say hi to them, otherwise they won't come back and visit me. That's my belief, and I'm sticking to that belief. Okay, so all that to say, what that led to was a Saturday crisis, because I had years ago given up writing on the weekends. I decided that that should be time dedicated to other parts of my life. I did not want writing to take over my life, and this worked really well when I was a freelancer, because I could keep my freelancing to whatever minimum or maximum that I wanted it to be, and I could spend the rest of my life working on my books, playing my accordion, doing my exercise, doing all of my hobbies, I guess. Exercise is not really a hobby, it's more like self-care. It's to keep myself healthy, and I think that that is the case for most people, unless they are, well, if they're career athletes, then then it's really not a hobby either. I don't consider exercise to be a hobby. It's part of taking care of yourself, like eating a healthy diet. And yeah, it's like saying that planning my grocery list is a hobby. No, it's not. It's just something that has to be done, and if I don't plan it, I'm not going to be as healthy, because I'm going to eat whatever's available instead of what will be better for my body. Yeah, so exercise is not really a hobby. I don't really like it when people categorize exercise that way, because it makes it seem like something that is negotiable. Like, I do it because I enjoy it, rather than I do it because it's good for me and it's something that I should do, like sleep. We should all be getting activity, and obviously that doesn't always have to mean a codified exercise routine where we're doing kettlebells or Pilates or whatever it is. We don't have to do that to be healthy, but if you enjoy hiking or walking or swimming or dancing, or yeah, I'm just continuously looking up and around for those dragonflies that there's just not that many today, but they're there, they're around, and since I am a dragonfly whisperer, not really, but I'm pretending that I'm a dragonfly whisperer. Yeah. Anyway, so that left me with sort of this crisis on Saturday where I just did not want to do my house cleaning routine. And oh, see, there's a dragonfly. See, I am a dragonfly whisperer. If I say hi to the dragonflies, they'll come. And now there's another one. Hi, dragonfly friend. I did not want to do my Saturday routine. I didn't want to clean the house. I didn't want to go to the grocery store. I didn't want to do all that. So I decided that I would do something that I hadn't done in years and go sit at the coffee shop and just focus on my book without having to think about my house and all the other things that I need to do. I did that. I went to the Starbucks. Now we're going to get into a little Roswell storytelling. When I decided to do Roswell interviews for this, for my YouTube channel, it was really to give a backdrop to my books, because my books are set in Roswell, and Roswell is a unique place. Every place has its own peculiar elements. Well, Roswell is especially peculiar, and unfortunately, after I was able to get 4 interviews very easily of Roswell people. And then some of my other interviews were not of necessarily Roswell people. They were just New Mexicans and, you know, family. They were family, or my my daughter's significant others, really. I couldn't get any more interviews, and it's been like pulling teeth, and like that door seems to have slammed shut on me. And so right now I've just given up. I have a couple of people who said, well, I'll do an interview with you in September. It might still happen. That might come to life. It might be the phoenix rising from the flame. You know, a phoenix rising from the flame, that's kind of like a dragonfly, right? Because they're kind of like the golden ones. They're kind of like flame. They look like flames in the sunshine. Golden flames. And in fact, if you look at the Delivering Hope book cover, that is what the dragonfly looks like. He looks like he's rising like a phoenix from the flame. And of course, dragonflies do go through that transformation like butterflies, only they are very strong and sturdy and have the 4 wings, and they are so brilliant and beautiful. Nothing like a dragonfly. They look like gold. Yeah, they really do strike me as being, whoa, birds just went almost got hit by birds now. So the nature is just out here and interacting with me while I'm making this video. Anyway, where was I at? Oh yes, Roswell and my interviews. I might be able to resurrect my interviews if I actually get some for September, like I had some people promise. But otherwise, it was a dead end. Door slammed shut in my face, I guess. When I get too many no's, I'm like, well, maybe this is not what God wants me to do. Maybe this isn't the best way. And I know I shouldn't always put everything off on God, but since I always pray about how to go about marketing myself, what the best route is, I always pray about these things. So if something is not an answer for me, then I accept that. And other people couch it in terms of, well, the universe obviously does not want me to do that, but I don't think the universe really cares about me unless you consider that God's spirit is imbued in the universe, which I'm sure it is, because if you consider that God is the creator, then you would consider that his spirit is generally imbued in the universe. But I still don't believe that the universe really talks to me or really cares what I do either way. It's really only my creator, God, who cares. Anyway, So that is kind of a dead end for me right now. But if you want a nice little Roswell story, you have to know that we are a relatively small town. We have 50,000 people or thereabouts, maybe more. I think we get a raw deal on the census, like not everybody is counted properly, and whatever. But I would guess that we have closer to 60,000, but I think officially on paper we have closer to 50. And we have a Starbucks here because we are 3 hours away from any other place. So we do get travelers coming through and they're gonna want their gosh darn Starbucks. But the Starbucks here in Roswell, New Mexico is a little bit different from other Starbucks, you know, and I haven't traveled to all places and visited all Starbucks. Maybe there's weirder Starbucks than the one in Roswell. But when I used to sit outside sometimes and I would work, you know, when the temperatures were cooler in August, I might have done that, but the last couple of years, these temperatures are just insane. You can actually hear cows lowing because there's a cattle yard just not that long of a walk from the Starbucks. That's what I started out saying. It's not that. So when you're doing this walk from about my brain isn't working. I can't think of Sycamore Street. So you can take a walk from Sycamore Street and walk towards downtown. You actually kind of pass by the Starbucks and then go all the way to the zoo. I used to take that walk all the time. And in fact, I used to walk to the Starbucks quite frequently as well. And along that path, you will see the cows in the stockyard. And they do make blowing sounds. And of course, that makes Roswell kind of smell like cows all the time. You have that element too. But I just thought that was funny because you would be getting the smooth jazz sounds like you would hear in the cities. And here it is in Roswell, and you can hear cows mooing in the background. Yeah. But the thing about yesterday when I went to the Starbucks, they were playing country music, and they were playing it really, really, really loud. And not only were they playing the country music really, really, really loud rather than the smooth, I hate smooth jazz, honestly. I don't mean to be offensive to somebody whose whole life is about smooth jazz, but I can't stand it. It's just, to me, it's very, very boring, and I don't like it. And so maybe the country's better, but it's still not really my jam, as some people would say. Yes, not. But oh my goodness, it was so busy in the Starbucks yesterday. Like I found a place to sit at a dirty table that somebody had just abandoned, but pretty much every seat was taken. The place was packed. It was noisy. This country music was playing so loud. I'm like, what did I come here for? So that I would not be distracted by my house and my dogs and by thoughts of whether I should be sweeping instead of working on my book. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I could not focus at all, and I put in my earbuds, of course, and played my music, which I always listen to Marco Antonio Solis when I'm writing. He's my focus spot. Oh, there's another dragonfly. He helps me get into that focus place because he has a beautiful voice. I love his voice and I love his songs, but they don't stand out to me in any way. Not like some of the bands that I like and other singers that I like. Like my favorite singer of all time is probably El Coyote, and there's just so much sound and movement and excitement. It's a little frenetic. A lot of his songs are a little frenetic. In the Bandit world, it's like that. And I can't really focus on my writing when I listen to that. It just makes me want to get up and dance or do something else, run down the street or something, but not sit down and write. That's why I listen to Marco Antonio Solis. And like I said, he's got a beautiful voice, and he's, over the course of the decades, he's done just about every type of music, from mariachi to cumbia to all these weird, easy listening with keyboard music in the 80s. At least I would presume those were the 80s that he was making that music. Anyway, it's really just his voice relaxes me, and I enjoy listening to it when I write. That's my writing music. And so when I put in my earbuds and turn on Marco Antonio Solis, my brain says, oh, it's time to write. But unfortunately, at top volume, I could still barely hear him, and I thought, well, I'm going to get a headache or hearing damage or both if I continue this. So I had to really turn it off and just listen to the gosh darned country music that was playing, and I couldn't really block out all of the gazillions of people that were passing through. See, when you have a town like Roswell, the Starbucks is going to be the hub because there isn't really much else around. I mean, no, it's not really the hub of the town. I'm sure there are all manner of people who never set foot in the Starbucks, but enough of them do to keep it super busy like that on a Saturday. And I always know some people, so I always greet people. But I was talking to one of the employees there, I guess he's a manager, but I was talking to him, and he said that they were having Christmas numbers, like it's that busy all the time. And I'm like, oh well, cool for you. Not fun to be in food service when you have that kind of busyness. It just makes the employees grumpy because they never get any breaks, and they can't ever really catch up on stocking things, and you can't really make beverages or food or whatever if your area isn't stocked and clean. It makes it really difficult. But then people want things with the snap of a finger. They want things immediately, especially if they're in the drive-through. And then anybody who's ever worked in a place with a drive-through knows that you get dinged by the company if you don't have short drive times, like from the time they order it to the time that they are given their drink and leave the window. Has to be very, very short. Otherwise, the employees get punished, and a lot of that the employees can't really do anything about. But anyway, so I eventually just sort of gave into the environment and began focusing anyway, and I did quiet down after a little bit, but not entirely, because here again with Roswell, okay, so the unique things about the Roswell Starbucks: country music, cows mowing, lowing, mooing down the street, kind of a smell of shit in the air all the time. Yeah, that's Starbucks. But the other thing about Roswell Starbucks is that you get the quinceañera parties, and yes, that happened. And it looked like they took a city bus. The whole entire quinceañera party took a city bus. They got dropped off at the Starbucks, and then all of the kids in their fancy clothes walked in, and the quinceañera, the girl who was having the quinceañera, had a Cinderella-like dress with a hoop in it, and so you couldn't really stand around. Like, she had to have this, 3 feet around her because that's how far her dress drifted out on the floor. Her Cinderella ball gown, beautiful gown, but my goodness, the space that dress took up. And yes, in the time of Cinderella, I'm sure their dresses took up a lot of space too. Poor Cinderella, because when midnight struck, her beautiful big ball gown turned into just a rag gown that just draped her body. I have to laugh at this because I actually, working for a church, I end up or a Catholic church, I end up planning quinceañeras. And I have the diocese guidelines for the quinceañeras right in front of me. And one of them is that there should not be a focus on fancy dresses or parties. And the families should not be encouraged to spend a gazillion dollars on the quinceañera. That shouldn't happen. It should be a rededication to God, and you should be giving the quinceañera girls, you should be giving them a Bible or a rosary, not this fancy party, and definitely not trips to Starbucks. I'm sure that's like way out of the diocese guidelines right there. But do you think that anybody follows the diocese guidelines? No, they do not. Is it the fancy dresses just get fancier and fancier? Like I said, this was like a Cinderella gown. It took up a huge amount of floor space so that customers couldn't even be near this poor girl. I mean, I'm sure she chose the dress. So she was like, yeah, you're not going to tell a girl who's just turned 15 or if she's lucky, she gets it on her 15th birthday. That's the best. But you're not going to tell her that she doesn't get to be the belle of the ball. Yeah, I don't know when quinceañeras became a religious ceremony, because they didn't start that way, I don't think. I think it was just a rite of passage into adulthood. That was the whole purpose of it. But it did become a Catholic religious service or mass. It's actually a mass, obviously not a sacrament, but it's definitely a mass, and that part of it is sacred and holy, and that is why the extravagance is not recommended. Anyway, so I guess in some ways I'm happy I went to the Starbucks, because I actually did eventually focus and listen. I actually switched to Los Invasores because I realized that Marco Antonio Solís just was not doing it for me yesterday, not in that environment. So I switched to that. I really like the accordion in that band, but it's not so much that. It's very smooth accordion. I don't know how to explain it. It's really, I love the aesthetic, and I would love to play that well. I would love to play that smoothly. And most accordion players don't, because the norteño accordions are diatonics, and that means that there's a different note played in than there is played out. And so there's this constant pushing in and out of the bellows, which causes kind of a choppy, even like jerky way of playing. And maybe that's why they play so dang fast, to sort of like just getting the notes as fast as you can. I don't know, honestly. But it's something that I struggle with playing very smoothly, and I know I just went into norteño music, and I really did not intend to, but that's what I switched to, and that helped me focus, and I did get a lot done, and I figured out where to put those 3 chapters, and I figured out what else was missing, and well, at least one element that was missing, and I started writing on it. Sometimes you just have to do something different, because life gets into these, it's so busy, and it gets into these patterns, and if you don't follow these patterns, then you're not going to get anything done. Like, your house isn't going to get clean, your groceries aren't going to get bought, you know, your work outside of work is not going to get done. Anybody who works and tries to have a life outside of work understands this already, and it is really nice to make a change sometimes and like go to the Starbucks and work on your book and really get that focus in. I will probably maybe even do that next week, just so I can keep the focus going. Although this helped me, because now I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not in panic zone anymore. I know exactly what I'm going to do on Monday. I have a chapter that I know exactly what has to be in that chapter to add to the book. And it was something that was always supposed to be in the book. It hadn't happened yet. So when I was writing my 1,000 words a day, these missing elements just hadn't happened. I didn't know where to put them at the time. And yeah, they should have been in the outline, and they probably were. But like I said, I end up kind of turning into a pantster, because I get bored following outlines. So if I were to go back and look at my initial outlines, yeah, I'm sure I would find those chapters in there where they were supposed to be, but I found them anyway. I found a spot for them. And part of the problem with there's time elements to a book. So this chapter occurs on Friday, and the next chapter can't occur on Monday if then you're going back to Saturday. I mean, you have to keep the time frame consistent. So it's really hard to just plug in chapters. And sometimes the characters can't do something because they're working. It has to be on their day off, or it has to be at night. All of this comes into play in thinking about where to plug in chapters, and it has to be congruent with everything else that has happened. And Part of the problem with these missing chapters is that an interview is conducted at a Friday night football game, where I'm like, where am I supposed to put this Friday night football game? It's not possible because of the timeline of the way the book takes place, the timeline. And I had to go through it chapter by chapter looking, well, no. And then I'm like, yes, it can happen here. It can happen in this spot. Okay, so I did find that. And so I filled in those spots. I'm probably going to shut this down pretty soon because I've already been going for a half an hour. But the other part about doing something that is a little bit different, well, I mean, it's good for you. It's good to do that. It's good to make changes. And in fact, when I got home after being at the Starbucks, I did an old workout video that I hadn't done in years, and that was kind of fun too. I guess it got me feeling nostalgic, because when I used to go to a coffee shop and maybe work on my day off and work for hours, a lot of times I would come home and do a workout video in this sort of genre of workout videos that I used to do. And so I did that. That was different and fun. But it also means I have to do my house cleaning today. And in between, I have to do that. So I'm gonna have to shut down this video.